record button. So I'm recording it now because sometimes people like to look back at the video. A shame we missed that reading of the script, because I thought it was really good. I thought Prospero, the wizard, was very majestic, and Miranda was lively and, you know, a bit kind of had a bit of an attitude, which I think she does. So I thought that worked out really well. So just before, what I would like to do, I think, what my suggestion is that I divide the script into sections and send people into breakout rooms to have a bit of fun with it. But before I do that, maybe, is there anything people would like to respond to in terms of what Sarah said? Because I think her point about working with a large group is probably common to many of us, or has been in the past. And there's always that issue of making everybody feel involved. And also, one of the big issues that I think teachers have is, if you're rehearsing a scene with 2 people, what do you do with the other 30, you know, while you're doing that? So any kind of thoughts about any of that people have found useful? Wow, you're all so quiet today.
Well, I may maybe share one experience of mine. I had a monodrama that there was only one man, but the monodrama was really good. That was a play by Margaret Mazzantini. I don't know if you know it. She's a half Irish, half Italian, and she wrote this fantastic monodrama about a beggar in the street called Zorro, and it was really good. And I thought it would be a shame not to use it, but I had so 10 people, which I had to assign the parts to, and I split this one character into 3, and I gave the others the parts of the choir.
That's a nice idea of splitting the characters and having a few people play the same character. That can work really well, and means that there's less line learning for everybody. It's a really good idea. And I think that whole thing about, you know, maybe having a chorus of actors, maybe in Sarah's case, they could be the fairies, you know, and finding ways in which they can be involved, maybe making sound effects or objects on the stage, you know, that kind of thing is really good, so that everybody's got something to do and it becomes more of an ensemble performance. Yes.
I rewrote, I rewrote some of it, so that, because there were too many lines for Prospero and Miranda, or too many lines for Antonio and Sebastian. So I just rewrote some of it into rhyming couplets as a narrative, so that I gave the hobgoblins and the sprites more of a sort of narration role, but taking out the words from the script. I also gave the some hobgoblins and sprites original lines, so that when they would get to a point where, like, for example, when Miranda and Ferdinand fall in love, I thought it would be a bit embarrassing for my actors to do that section. So they go into a frozen position, and then the hobgoblins and the sprites come and speak Miranda as a group chorally. They're going to speak the Ferdinand's and Miranda's lines, the original lines from the play, so that you're sort of, you know, giving a little nod to the original as well, rather than just, you know, I don't know, just felt like it was
that sounds,
doing it.
I like that idea, because it can be embarrassing for young kids or teenagers to play romantic roles, definitely. That sounds excellent.
Thinking about having a little bit of back projection, so that they might go behind the screen and then do a kiss, but do it, obviously they won't physically kiss, but they'll do it at a distance so that the shadows sort of meet. Also, I don't know.
Well, Sarah, can I just say, as soon as you said that, I immediately thought of shadow puppets.
Yeah.
You know, you could almost have them go behind the screen. And I don't know if you've done shadow puppetry before, but it can work really, really well. And all you need to do is to cut out cardboard cutouts of the characters.
Cutouts, yes.
Especially if they've already done freeze frames. So you've got that idea of them as statues. And they could almost freeze in a position that then becomes replicated as a shadow puppet. Yeah,
I'm just not sure if I'm going to have enough depth behind the stage. I'm going to have a chat with my tech chap.
You do need distance for shadow puppetry to work. That's very true. Or even actual puppets, you know, or even, sorry, I'm just riffing here, but kind of cardboard cutout puppets on sticks that they could hold, not as back projections, but in front of the screen. And you know, they could make them come in and kiss each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other, by the way, at the beginning I said if anybody has come with any burning questions or just minor questions that they would like to raise with the group, please feel free to do that. So of those who didn't arrive at the very beginning, has anybody arrived with something in their head that they would like to discuss? Oh yeah, Patricia.
Yes, it's always this question. I think it's always in my mind. I use the actual script all the time, and I would like sometimes to start with the students. I would like them to make the script. I would like to start with them and to evolve with their ideas and I don't know if I'm
yeah, I understand what you mean, like devising a play.
Yeah, and I never know where should I start from, you know.
Well, there are so many ways.
Yes, so many ways. Yes, there could be. I could start with something. I could start with Shakespeare anytime. I could start with any poem. I'm aware of that. True. Okay, but
or even newspaper, a newspaper article.
Okay. Right.
So I think you're not struggling with the resource. It's more about where do you go from there. So you've got the story or the poem or the newspaper article. What do you do next? So what you can do is you can divide the story into sections. And I'm just going to briefly talk about a method that somebody called John Wright has used in workshops that he's run for me. And what he does is he gets the group to write a headline for each section of the story. So, for example, in this scene that we've just read, you could think of a headline for it, such as, I don't know. Anyone got one? Stranded, yeah. Or it could be more, that's a good one, but it could also be more descriptive, like dad going on again or something. You know, there's so many different titles. So the group chooses a headline, maybe a few people, as we've done here, propose different ideas, and one of them gets chosen and written down. So then you begin to identify different sections of the story. Each has a headline. So every time you want to talk about that section of the story, you could say, you know, stranded, you know, so immediately you've got a kind of shorthand of moving between different parts of the story. Then you can do simple things like handing those headlines out to people and either getting them to do short improvisations based on each headline, or of course the good old freeze frame ideas. They could take one headline and make 3 freeze frames for that scene and then show them. They can do the thing of bringing them to life for a few seconds. So they're in a freeze and then they are allowed to move and talk as those characters. I'm going to keep waffling for a little bit longer. Another method that I found useful, because I ran a theatre company for over 20 years, and in the first 10 years, nearly all our plays were devised, like you're talking about. And one of the things that we found really useful was to record all our improvisations. In those days, it was on a cassette recorder. But these days, we've all got phones and you can record audio or video. So that's a really good idea. And what we used to do is to just improvise a scene and then listen back to it and transcribe it. So we would write down what people said. So we had a script from that. And of course, you can edit it. So I'm looking at, Linda doesn't know this, but I'm looking at her because she's somebody who is a storyteller. And I'm just wondering if what I've talked about rings any bells with you, Linda, in approaches that you've used in the past.
Absolutely. And for me personally, when I'm working on a new piece, I found that if I'm writing to be heard as opposed to writing to be read, I use improv now entirely. I go out to my barn and I take my phone and I will have kind of thought about what I want to do, and then I will record it. And then I use Otter AI and I transcribe it. And then I go back and forth, and then I pull in my coach, and that's when we start workshopping. But I find if I'm going to be presenting on stage, or if other people are going to be storytelling, to start there takes an awkward step out of writing it down, because then you're writing to be read as opposed to writing to be heard. So if I do the improv first, where I'm on the stage and I'm in performance mode, that gets me into character and gets me into story a lot faster than writing it and then taking it to the stage.
That's interesting. And so just to be clear about that, you're talking about writing stories for yourself as a solo performer, aren't you?
But no, if I'm working on a larger piece, I will do that too. If it's for the stage, either with students or with community theater or my own performances, I do that because it bypasses that first step that I have to go back and retrace anyway, because it's for the platform. It's not for sitting at a table and reading.
Excellent. Thanks for that. That's really, really good to hear. One other idea that comes to mind. I think we talked about this at the last session, because we were talking about Commedia dell'arte, the Italian performers from medieval times, and how they used to use kind of gobbledygook nonsense language sometimes in their scenes. And that's actually a really good tool, because sometimes you might find that amateur actors or professional actors find it quite difficult to improvise on the spur of the moment. And it can be quite funny to have a scene, for example, the headline is Stranded, and you say there's a wizard and his teenage daughter, and the wizard has created this magical storm, and his daughter wants to know why. All right, it could be as simple as that. And you can get the actors to actually improvise it in nonsense language, to improvise a scene in nonsense language. And sometimes that kind of gives them, they don't have to worry about words, and they just think about actions. It probably works better if you've got a scene that has lots of action in it, like, I don't know, a pickpocket going through a marketplace or something where something is really happening. Patricia, I hope that has given you a few ideas. Did that help?
Yes, thanks a lot. Yes. I'll definitely use this, splitting stories and then elaborating on those. Because, yes, because some may not be as impressive, maybe from the start, but then you realize that maybe something can be created out of something that you miss. Yeah.
Well, that's it. You may end up with a story that you didn't know existed.
Yeah.
And the other thing that John Wright does with those headlines, he writes them down on strips of paper, and then you can put them in a different order. So you can mix up the scenes and the story can happen in a different order to the way in which it was told. I can't remember which famous French film director said, every story has a beginning, middle, and end, but not necessarily in that order. And I think that's a great precept. Okay, listen, I'm
Before we
looking at
move
the
on,
time. Go on.
Can I just ask, Linda said something about a particular AI system that she was using then to help her write. Could she give us a bit more detail on that?
Yeah, it's called Otter, OTTER AI, and it's a monthly subscription. And basically, sometimes I'll just do it directly into the software and it will transcribe in real time. Other times I will take my video and I'll import it into the software, and then I'll get a transcription based on the video. It uses both.
Wow, that's amazing.
OTTOI, was it? Sorry.
Otter, like the animal, OTTERAI. I'll put it in the chat for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's also another one called Dragon Speech, which I think is for PCs and Macs. But there's lots of them available now, and they are really good these days. Okay, so anything else people want to chip in with? So let's see, we've got 2, 4, 6, 7. So I'm going to divide us into breakout rooms, and I'm also going to, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8. So I need 4 rooms, right? This is the hardest part for me, doing maths. And I'm going to assign automatically. So everybody's in a room. Let me just check that. Yeah. Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do is I think has everybody had the opportunity to download the script? Because, Jan, did you have a chance to do that? Because I think I put it on the chat, but of course it doesn't appear there. But
I've got it, so I can send it to her. It's okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Thanks, Josie.
Yeah, I'll do it now.
Brilliant. All right. Anybody has a problem with that, just message me and I'll send it to them. Why don't I just say, I'd like you with your partner that you're going to be with, I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm going to pop into the rooms to see how you're getting on, to choose a section of the speech, because it will take time for me to allocate. So it doesn't matter if people choose the same section.
Right.
And you can read through it, and first of all, if you want, or just choose a section that you like, and just take a bit of time to rehearse a part of it. So I think I'm going to definitely give you 10 minutes, actually, because that's how you'll need at least that to do it. Any questions? Okay, I'm going to open the rooms. Hello. You'll be muted because it mutes you when you go into a room.
Hello.
Hi. So we ended up together, coincidentally. So yeah. Well, we've both been working on the Tempest.
Yes.
And so that gives us something to go on. Can we have a look at the script? Shall I share the screen again?
Yes, please.
Let me do that. That's a good way to do it. So, where's it gone? Oh, some reason suddenly disappeared, that script. Oh, there it is. Right. Okay, let's make it a bit bigger. Any bits that come to mind that we could do?
I don't know really. I suppose the opening bit is about sort of setting up the scene.
Yeah.
And then when she takes his cloak off, then it's sort of more about the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of then up to the back in those days is the next section.
Yeah, okay. So, how about from where she helps him take off his magic cloak? And so the first line would be, do you remember where we lived before we came to this island?
Yeah.
Could you be Prospero?
Yeah.
As you were Miranda before. And we'll do a bit of cross-gender casting.
I've done a bit of that too.
Yeah. Maybe let's just read through this section and see how it sounds, and then think maybe we could do something with it. Okay. Off you go.
Do you remember where we lived before we came to this island?
Duh. I was like 3. It's all a bit of a dream now. I think I remember a big house, and there were like all these servants running around.
That's because your father was a duke, the Duke of Milan.
What? Oh, I thought you were my dad.
I am.
What?
And that makes you a princess.
Are you pulling my leg? So how did we come to this totally gross island?
It's a long story.
Dad, you can't stop there. But maybe we should stop there.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be enough. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right. When I was reading that through, the only thing, or not the only thing, but one thing that didn't really ring true was Miranda saying, are you pulling my leg? And I was thinking, what do teenagers or kids say nowadays? Do they still say that?
Are you kidding?
Are you kidding me? Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they would say,
are you kidding me? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Just, are you kidding? Yeah. Okay. Right. Good. A little bit of workshopping of the script there. Nice. Anything else that we could look at in terms of the words?
I mean, I think you could go over the top with the likes if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I was like 3. It's all a bit of like a dream now. I think I remember like a big house, I mean, add more likes in there.
Okay, definitely. Okay. I was thinking, I've just got an idea about when he says, and that makes you a princess. She could immediately think of like Instagram, and sort of like, oh, do you think so? Oh, yeah,
definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Well, is it a duke and a princess, or is it if he was a king, maybe she'd be a princess?
Yeah, that's true. Let me just have a look at the original script, because I've got that right here, and see what he actually said for that bit. Right. I'm getting there. All right. Oh, okay. Yeah. Right, here we go. I think he says it in a really weird way, and I think you're right in that he doesn't say princess. So what should we call her instead? Because I can't find it anyway, and I don't think he uses a particular term. Oh, maybe she could say, does that
make me
makes
a princess?
That makes me a princess. Because she could get it wrong, couldn't she? Let's do that. So so she says, that makes me a princess. And then she could say, are you kidding? As part of the same thing.
Yeah.
What? That makes me a princess. Wow. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I'll put a wow in there. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And he shakes his head.
Yeah.
Because she's got it wrong. That makes sense then.
No, it's more like, are you kidding? No, I'm not.
Oh, yes.
Maybe
yes.
he should say that. So I'm glad you said that, because that makes me realize it's not clear. Prospero shakes his head and says, it's all true.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's good. Shall we try it again?
Yeah.
I thought you could be a bit more old and wizendy wizard.
Okay.
What was it like from? Do you remember? Is that where we did it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you remember where we lived before we came to this island?
Duh. I was like 3. It's all a bit of a like dream now. I think I remember like a big house and like there were all these servants like.
That's because your father was a duke, the Duke of Milan.
What? I thought you were my dad. But what? That makes me a princess. Wow. I can put it on Instagram. Are you kidding?
It's all true.
Oh, wow. So in that case, how did we come to this totally gross island?
It's a long story.
Dad, you can't stop there. Okay. Well, I'm enjoying myself like nobody's business here. Okay, so let me just save that, by the way. Right, done that. Now, we probably nearly had 10 minutes, haven't we?
Yeah.
I think we could just do this as like talking to each other rather than lots of moving around, because it's difficult on Zoom and we don't have a lot of time to kind of work it all out.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, absolutely.
Um,
So I was just thinking about other things that I've tried to put into it.
yeah.
I'm hoping to have a bit of fun with obviously Stefano and Trincalo.
Yeah.
With the famous "Are you a man or are you a fish?" scene. And I think there are parts that I'm going to try and do rehearsals with just a few children, so that I get those main bits there, and then I'm lucky enough there's going to be 3 members of staff, including me, so 2 extra
Ooh,
members of staff.
right.
But I'm only getting an hour, well, two 45-minute sessions a week, so it's not
Okay.
a lot
Yeah.
of time.
It ain't a lot at all, is it?
No.
And how many weeks is that?
We do it at the end of the 9th week, and they're away a residential 1 week, and you know, so I will be picking up a lot of the smaller sections with like 1 or 2 speakers, probably at break times and lunch times, in order to make the time where we're all a company as such together better beneficial, because I've tried to get the hobgoblins and the sprites to be in most scenes, so that, you know, that's where I can sell it as well to those children and to those parents.
Great. Now look, I'm just going to do the ending the breakout rooms thing.
Okay.
Because that gives everybody another minute. Otherwise time will run out for us to show each other what we did. Great, I've done that. Yeah, that sounds like a real challenge to have roughly about 7 weeks, 7 times 2 sessions, rehearse the whole, and it's a musical as well.
Yeah, they will get music lessons separately to that. So but I'm not scheduled in for those, so that's harder. But
so has somebody else, have you got music with the script that you are using? Yeah,
and some special effects and stuff. Starshine music was the main, that's where I bought it from.
I think I've seen their website. Okay,
so no, some nice music.
Good. So you can use a recorded background music.
Yes.
A recorded soundtrack. Okay, I'm going to right, jolly good. I'm glad you're all back here, or coming back, and I think we should have a look at some of these scenes. Let's see. So I'm going to go in the order that they are on my screen. So Linda and Patricia are the first ones, and the rest of us could mute ourselves and turn our videos off so that we can concentrate on them.
Linda, are you going to be the Miranda?
Okay, you're going to be Miranda or me?
You can be Miranda.
Okay.
You did really well this last time.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So we started with she helps him take off his magic cloak.
Okay.
Do you remember where we lived before we came to this island?
Duh, I was like 3. It's all a bit of a dream now. I think I remember a big house, and there were like all these servants.
Well, that's because your father was a duke, the Duke of Milan.
What? I thought you were my dad.
I am.
What?
And that makes you a princess.
Are you pulling my leg? So how did we come to this totally gross island?
It's a long story.
Dad, you can't stop there.
Back in those days, I used to spend all my time reading magic books in my library. My brother, your Uncle Antonio, used to help me with my job as a duke. Are you listening?
100%. I just had my eyes closed for a bit.
Okay, that was it.
Well done. That was brilliant. Loved it. Yeah. No, really nice characterizations from both of you. Really enjoyed it. Great. Any feedback from you two about the script when you were working on it? Any sort of comments or questions?
Yeah, we just realized that it could have been, it didn't have to be Shakespeare. I'm sorry. It didn't have to be Shakespeare. It was just a conversation between father and a daughter. Nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah. That's kind of what I was going for. Brilliant. And I thought you did it well. So I'm going to go on just to save time, zooming on to Eleni and Josie are the next ones. Fire away when you're ready. Josie, you're muted.
I was yawning.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay.
Shall we start it now?
Yeah. Okay.
Are you awake? Awake?
Yeah, it's a well-known fact that teenagers need more sleep.
So, anyway, Antonio asked the king to give him the title of duke. He stole it from me.
Greedy so-so.
Then the king got some soldiers together. In the middle of the night, they grabbed us both and threw us into a broken old boat. We had to sail through a terrible storm to escape.
Ah, that totally sucks.
Luckily, they didn't really know what was going on. In fact, you were a sweet little angel.
So how do we end up living here in a shack?
A rich friend of mine, Gonzalo, brought food and clothes to the boat and somehow managed to rescue my books from the library. So we sailed away, and to cut a long story short, ended up here.
But why did you make this storm?
You will never guess who was on that ship last night.
No.
Your uncle Antonio and lots of his friends. But that's enough for now. Time to sleep. My magic servant. Do. Phil, where are you?
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. It's really nice to see different people doing the same characters in slightly different ways. Yeah, really nice. I thought that was a very kind of storytelling version of Prospero. I liked the way when you were telling the story, you didn't rush it, that you kind of, you just told each bit quite clearly and quite expressively. That's what came across for me in that particular scene. Anybody else got any feedback on that? Or Josie and Eleni themselves?
No, I think it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay, Josie. You were great as well, by the way. But as I say, what came out for me in that section, I think, is Prospero's storytelling.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Which I kind of worried about before, but actually, sometimes it's good just to tell a story.
Yes. And I think they probably spent a lot of time on the island doing that. So it's quite natural, isn't it? Because they were on their own, except for, the monster and Abigail, of course. But yeah, it's sort of, there are not many people there, that's a normal thing to do. No TV, so of course Shakespeare didn't have TV. Storytelling was the order of the day, wasn't it?
Definitely. Okay, well, let's go on to Martha and Jan, please, are going to be next. And you can start whenever you like.
Okay, I'm gonna be Miranda. Okay. It's so windy. It's raining cats and dogs. Those waves are totally massive. I'm getting soaked. I saw that shipwreck, you know? Did you do that? Is that one of your crazy magic spells?
Calm down, Miranda. Honestly, everything will be sorted.
Yeah, right.
Just give me a hand with my magic clock.
Do I have to?
Well, if you do, I might tell you what really happened all those years ago.
As if I care.
Do you remember where we lived before we came to this island?
I was like 3. It's all a bit of dream now. I think I remember a big house and there was like all the servants.
That's because your father was a duke, the Duke of Milan.
What? I thought you were my dad.
I am.
Okay, that's it.
We did the first part.
Yes.
No, that was lovely. And nice to have a different section of the play. I think, again, the differences that came out to me from watching that one was the childishness of Miranda, which was
Yes.
really, Jan, there's something very childish about your personality, maybe, but certainly
Yes.
about the way that you portrayed her. And that was nice because, you know, we do forget that 13 is only a child, really. Although she falls in love with Fernando later, it's, you know, it's puppy love. So she's very young, and I think that playfulness was really nice. And again, also, I think with Prospero, what came out for me was the relation. You could feel a relationship between the two of them as father and daughter. So well done. Well, that leaves me and Sarah to do our little scene. So I'm just gonna, have you got the script there, Sarah?
Not the one that we changed.
Oh, that's true, because we actually changed it a bit. So what I'm going to have to do is to share my screen. So let me just do that, and we'll do it in that way. So let's typically, because I wrote this script, when we were going through it, there were bits that we changed as we went. So it's slightly different. Let me just zoom it properly. Right, there we go. Okay, and I'm playing Miranda and Sarah's playing Prospero.
Do you remember where we lived before we came to this island?
Duh! I was like 3. Oh, it was like all of a bit of a dream now. I think I remember like a big house, and there were like all these servants.
That's because your father was a duke, the Duke of Milan.
What? I thought you were my dad.
I am.
What? Hey, that makes me a princess. Wow, I can Instagram it. Wait a minute. Are you kidding?
It's all true.
Oh. So how did we come to this totally gross island?
It's a long story.
Dad, you can't stop there. But that's where we did stop. Okay. So I indulged myself in that part. Couldn't help it.
Nice job. Nice job.
Both
of you.
But we yeah, Sarah made the point that the daughter of a duke isn't really a princess.
No,
So
true.
changed it so that she was the one who said, "Does that make me a princess then?" Wow, amazing.
Yeah, that's very clever. Yeah.
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 So there were a few, and also Sarah suggested that I put in more, like it was a really big house, like there were all these servants,
Like
to make it a bit more everyday kind of
Proper.
speech. Yeah. Wow. That was incredibly useful to me because of this script that I wrote, and I'm going to try it out with some primary school children in
Excellent.
Amsterdam in the end of May. I'm going over there for
Oh, nice. Same school.
to an international school where I've been before. Yeah,
Yeah,
Linda.
Just a quick comment. When Patricia and I were talking, and I know we're close to time, the one thing that we discussed was when you're translating from English to another language, perhaps some of the colloquialisms and some of the phrasings that would be very natural for students in England or students in Canada who speak English, they wouldn't necessarily be their catchphrases of their youth. Although we did agree that there is a universal appeal of the word duh.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I agree with that. And it was a question that I kept asking myself when I was writing. And in the end, I decided to go for what an English audience might go for, because I thought, well, I've got to pick an audience.
Well,
And
that's who you're writing for. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
and you can't kind of take all that colloquialism out of it.
We did take out the "Are you pulling my leg" bit though.
That's right. We changed that to "Are you kidding?" Because when I read it aloud, "Are you pulling my leg?" doesn't sound like something a teenager or a kid would really say these days. It's a bit of an older person's phraseology, maybe, at least in the UK. Okay. I hope you enjoyed it too and got something from it.
That's really good. Yeah.
Great.
I just wanted to share one thing, David. I don't want to go on about it, but I shared it with Eleni earlier. But I did. I've done Summer Night Dream many times, and one scene I did with several people playing the same character, as we were talking about earlier, was Helena chasing Demetrius. And I would put chairs in the middle of the room, and the kids would have to go through the chairs with their script. So reading the script, they'd already read it a few times, so they were familiar with it. And what I did was that I had 4 Helenas and 4 Demetriuses at the same time. And I got them to synchronize how they read it and the feelings they had. And it was quite nice because the kids were quite shy. But this way, the feelings, the emotions were really magnified and emphasized, and it really works quite well. So I just wanted to share that. Might be another way of doing it.
Sounds really interesting. So
it was good. Yeah,
did it mean that, like, with each pair, they were running around a different part of the stage, but all at the same time?
To start with, yes. But in the end, there was a kind of coordination going on. It wasn't exactly the same moves because the chairs were random and they were all dressed up. So they, but all the Helenas moved at the same time and all the Demetriuses moved at the same time. It just, I didn't tell them to do it that way. It just happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really quite nice. Yeah.
Patricia.
Josie, sorry to interrupt you. You just reminded me of the film that won the Oscar. It's a multi-level story.
Oh,
Okay.
Here, There, and Everything.
Anytime, anywhere.
Oh, that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it was what you can actually do it. You can just take a very simple, very short bit of a drama piece and then take it onto different levels with different emotions, and they can then merge into one if you want to, or take different stories, or take one piece. It just gave me a great idea. I don't know if I explain myself well.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. That film is
You seen that film?
really
It's
interesting. Yeah.
really amazing. I mean, I had to watch it once again because I watched it only once and I had a headache. Out of the, really, but it could be also translated into drama, I think.
Yeah.
And adapted to the level of emotions, to yeah, the different sorts of levels of anything.
Mm. Well, there's a technique that they call split scene, isn't there? Where you can have like you show one part of a story on one part of the stage and another part it suddenly zooms over or the lighting goes on and
Yeah.
off. But you could equally have the same story happening in different parts of the stage, which to highlight emotional changes, like you're saying. Sounds great. Okay, well, that's given us loads to think about. So thanks very much to everybody. It's been a pleasure to play
Yeah,
drama with you.
for us as well. It was good script, Dave. Love it.
Good.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, very nice.
And
It's nice to be here again after a long break. So
yeah,
nice to
Linda,
see
it's
you all.
been a long while.
Good to
You've
see
been
you.
busy.
Yes. Good
So
to
it's
see
good
you.
to have you back. And I look forward to seeing you all soon.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
David. Thank you,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Jan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.